Hi there, and welcome to the CyberHut TV vendor introduction series. My name is Simon Moffat. I'm founder and analyst at the CyberHut. And in our vendor introduction series, I get to interview amazing startups around the globe to understand a little bit more about how they are tackling some of today's important identity and access management challenges. I'm absolutely thrilled to have Douglas from CoffeeBean with me. Douglas, thank you for joining me.
Hi, Simon. Hi, Simon. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Not at all, not at all. It's I appreciate taking a little bit of time out to explain a little bit more about what you guys are up to. And for those who've not seen one of these episodes before, I get the easy job. Ultimately, I get to ask the questions, and I always ask the same three questions to understand a little bit more about our special guests, sort of vision and mission to solve some of today's problems. And question number one. I guess what is the problem that Coffee Bean is looking to solve?
Okay. Yes. Well, the core problem you're solving with the product we have been building around for some years is that companies are stuck managing identity in silos when they actually need to they need a unified and modern approach across all their use cases. I like to talk a lot about use case, but let me explain better. Identity management, we know this is fundamental for cybersecurity, and we also know that's becoming more complex. So companies now need to handle internal employees' identities, external identities for partners, vendors, customer identities on different digital platforms, now no human identity, agentic AI, this is becoming bigger now as well. But here's where it gets really messy. Companies often they get stuck debating which tool they need rather than focusing on their actual use case. So they ask themselves something like, do I need an IGA or a B2B CIM solution? Do I need both? And they spend months in vendor selection trying to fit these problems they have into two categories, and that usually don't map to their reality. So another example, the partners accessing your systems, that workforce identity, customer identity. What if this partner or contractor also use your customer portal? And these examples can go on and on because different industries or even different companies, they always have their specific context and details about these identities that's going to change a lot. So this tool-centric thinking creates some stagnation. Companies have difficulty to move forward, and then later can also create some fragmentation. And this is especially for like mid-sized companies. They struggle because they have less resource. It's more difficult for them to create a whole IAM program from scratch. And then they end up with point solutions that don't talk to each other. This creates some operational headaches, some poor experience for the employees, for the customers, for everyone. So, in a nutshell, the problem is solved is giving companies a way to handle their identity use cases through one integrated and modern platform without forcing them into some two categories or requiring some massive upfront investment. Yes.
You touched on some really interesting problems there. You mentioned tool
Yeah.
centric. I quite like that as a concept. I think traditionally you're absolutely spot on. We've bought these individual pillars of technologies. Rather than focusing on the sort of business use cases, if you like, it's often maybe some IGA and some PAM and a bit of maybe an MFA product or an access control product. It is tool centric. It's not necessarily user centric. I think then, as you mentioned, that
Yeah.
it proliferates into isolation. These tools don't necessarily talk well to each other. Fragmentation, maybe different operating teams or different teams managing and integrating these products. So they, by design, don't want to necessarily communicate or share data with each other. And I think the big thing I just circled there on my pad was, that impacts both the business and the security side of things. It isn't just
Yes.
one or two teams impact. I think it's a whole host of different stakeholders. So I guess that introduces question number two. Why has this become more of a problem now? Is it just legacy technologies that have been purchased 10, 15 years ago and are just no longer fit for purpose, or is it changing use cases and needs? Why is this becoming more of a concern today?
Yes, and I think there are a couple of things that are happening right now, or at least in the last couple of years. First, we know that identity has become central to security. But what's really different now, I think, is this convergence that's happening with if different things, different elements. Let's put this way. At this point, we have different identities. You already mentioned this, and they're exploding kind of simultaneously and becoming connected to. So these the identities I mentioned, the normal human identities, AI, agentic AI, partners, employees, customers, they're becoming all connected. So maybe 6, 8 years ago, it would be easier to manage them separately and more in a traditional way. But you add to that these different types of identities, the velocity of organization change. So companies are going through M&As, rapid scaling, some workforce transformations, and then they have many different new systems. They have AI now inside the companies, and all of this happening at once. Everything happening together, and then I was talking this a few days ago that you have your identity landscape, the identity landscape of a company, can change 30, 40% in one quarter. So with this, all these new things happening, all these different scenarios, this can be really fast. So yes, legacy approach can keep up with this pace. But there's another point that I have been talking to lately, we have been discussing, is that we have a talent crisis. I think we all have seen this as well. The demand for IAM expertise exceeds the supply that we have. So companies can find people who understand both the technology and the business context, or it's difficult to find these people. And this is another reason that companies need solutions that make identity management more accessible, simple to deploy, easy to maintain, and very effective from day one. So yeah, I think these elements together, also the stakes are just higher. We have seen a lot of major breaches related to identity, boarding, asking questions. The regulators are more paying more attention. So this brings urgency. I think that wasn't there before, with less margin for error. So when you combine all these elements, I think now more than ever, the companies need some simple solutions that can solve their specific problems, but in a more simple way. Really. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you uncovered some key points there. I think identity is becoming more relevant. It's being used for more things, be that revenue or productivity, security, and I do agree its importance is increasing, which is often introducing a bit of complexity in there as well. It has to do more things than it used to, which I think is amplifying some of these sort of fragmentation gaps. Certainly around things like PAM and maybe some other areas around NHI and agentic as well. I think it gets amplified because identity is important and there is an urgency to make it effective. So I guess that sort of ties into the final part really is to why a coffee bean best place to solve this? What's your sort of secret sauce, if you like?
Okay. Yes. Yes. I think our secret sauce and our philosophy too is because we always start with use case and not
Mm.
tools. Of course, we are a tool, we are a vendor, but we build CoffeeBean as an integrated platform that includes IGA, AM, we have CIEM, we have MFA, CTNA, but in a different way, in a more modular and modern way. We don't have to buy or implement everything upfront, or not even the complete one of these products. You can mix and match specific features from these different products that we have to address your unique use case. So when a company comes to us and say we need to manage a partner access, we don't force them into a box. We understand what's the context, the use case, and we then see the features we have, the many features and tools available that are already integrated to each other, and combine them the best way to deliver. this solution. So maybe we start with some single sign-on with an MFA. Later, we can add some IGA features for governance or certification. If the partner needs some customer report or something, we can bring features from our CIEM. So there's no silos and there's no integration nightmares. Things become more simple. And then on the top of that, and together with the whole platform, we have two critical technical differentiators. So first, we offer a very robust no-code orchestration capability that it's embedded across all the platform, all these tools. And then security teams or the teams involved in the project, they can build workflows. They can orchestrate some process across multiple systems, third-party systems as well, configure policies, create integrations, all of this without constant dependence on developers, because it is the idea to be simple, to be no code. And the second part is related to some technical differentiators, is that we incorporate AI in some practical ways, not just for the hype or as a buzzword, but in a way that really reduce effort for the team. So for access behavior analysis, for anomaly detection, and one of the things that we use for AI that really stands out is AI agent. Because the idea behind this is to allow users to manage the platform through natural language. So we call CoffeeBean AI agent. So they can manage everything using natural language without some training programs or complex documentation makes easier. So they can literally ask something. So show me users with privilege, elevated privilege who haven't been reviewed in 30 days, or create access requests for the finance team, a workflow, access request workflow, something like this. And the agent understands and executes that. So this is something that also is interesting from the technology point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing: these both examples, these both technologies, the low-code orchestration and an agent, they are fundamentally about the same goal, that making this powerful IAM solution simple to operate, making it easier for the daily basis to operate this solution. Because we believe this, that when you make the solution easier to use, people actually use it correctly, and the security comes as a result of that. So yeah, so that's why we keep it, the whole experience, the whole platform clean and intuitive, because I always say this too, that security and usability, they are not trade-offs. They are requirements to reinforce each other. So yeah, at the end of the day, you're making sophisticated identity management accessible to companies who need some capabilities but can afford the complexity of it.
Very good. I think there's some real, some real interesting aspects there. I think if you are talking about sort of removing fragmentation and increasing integration, you do want it to be orchestratable, and you do want it to be modular. You want to apply the identity constructs to a whole host of different identities, different deployment types, and other. And the other thing, you mentioned sort of user experience there. That can be both for the end user and for the administrator as well. I think that's often
Yes.
quite overlooked. We need to make it simple to deploy. Removing misconfiguration, being able to deploy things fast and other. So, Douglas, thank you for taking a little bit of time. I absolutely agree and certainly concur. There's definitely an issue with sort of fragmentation across that legacy identity world, and I think as identity becomes more important, more critical, and delivers more value, it's important to be more end-to-end, I think, around how we deliver some of those services. So thank you for giving me the update on CoffeeBean and how you guys are looking to change the world of identity and access management. This has been another of our vendor introduction series. Thank you to Douglas. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon.